Hello, everyone. This is Zami Eccles-Irwin from FilmFestivalCircuit.com and the director of the Oregon Short Film Festival. Right now, we are gearing up for our fall 2024 screening, which is going to take place on November 10th at the beautiful, historic Clinton Street Theater in Portland, Oregon. And in preparation for the festival, we have been talking with some of our participating filmmakers. Today, we're talking with Andis Solomon, who's the director behind the film Meshes of the Production. Andis, thank you so much for meeting with me, man.
Oh, thanks for making time for me.
So Meshes of the Production, it's a really interesting picture. It's a micro short. It's sweet, it's to the point, but it's visually stunning. I feel like there's something actually really substantial being said in a small amount of time. Tell me, what inspired this film?
That's really sweet. The film was inspired by my time here in Los Angeles. I came to the city from Portland to see how film was made on the biggest level possible. I wanted
Totally.
to see what it was like to work at a studio, and there's so much beauty and incredible locations that you get to go to. And not being from the city, it was like all new to me. But the sort of catch of it is that you're working these insanely long days, and they're like very high stress days. And so you end up being so fatigued that you don't really get to notice, um, like you don't get to live in that moment. And so that's sort of what the piece was intended to be. And, as we kept moving further along, um, it was something that I wanted to be a cathartic sense of solace for anybody who feels overworked and underloved, which
Absolutely.
is far beyond the film industry. It's a problem that a lot of people feel.
Totally. Well, I think you sum it up really well, and I feel like there's the strains of that idea are definitely communicated well through the film. But I feel like the way that you kind of make that known is through little details, through the minutia, where things like the camera work and the sound design really mesh together. I'm thinking of a scene that really spoke to me was at the end. She gets home, takes off her walkie-talkies, specifically silences them. You see it, and then as she goes in, she's hearing still the sort of static conversation, this ceaseless array of just orders and nonsense. Nonetheless,
Yeah.
tell me about your kind of approach with conveying these ideas, through details, through the visuals.
No, that one, I'm glad you brought that up. Is specifically something that I think anybody who works in the AD department and is on Channel One and has a similar experience of where you go home and you hear these voices, you hear the white noise that's sort of been playing in your head for 12, 16, 20 hours a day.
Totally.
And it's like that is a bit of a metaphor for not being able to turn off your work life,
Totally.
for her in that instance. And she actually throws her toothbrush down, which is like she can't really take care of herself. She's so
Right.
stressed out all the time. But a lot of these ideas came from real experiences that we had working as PAs. My friend Grace, she produced this project, came up with the concept in the parking garage, where you're walking around, clicking your keys, looking for your car because you're not sure which
Totally.
parking floor you're on. And it's just so late at night, and Laura did an amazing job of just letting the exasperation show because, you could just feel the pain in that moment.
Absolutely. Well, I think the ending sums it up well. It's every PA's nightmare. You finally lay down, and your head hits the pillow, and you're right back on set, and you think,
Yeah.
"Oh God."
Got to do this all over again. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, I love that, and I feel like there's something sort of literal and mundane in the type of thing you're trying to explore. Anyone who's done it
Mm.
knows that this is just the painful fact of reality, but it's displayed and augmented in a really interesting way. And you reference Meshes of the Afternoon as an important kind of precedent for this film. Tell me a little bit about that inspiration and how you wanted to work that in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's such a classic piece of experimental film,
Totally.
and it conveys this like monotony and this loop and depression of her domestic life, Maya Deren. But it's oddly similar to the same sensation, and exactly what you're speaking of this ceaseless loop, of work that Alice is caught in, and that was it just kind of came to me. I was like, oh, this is exactly like this same sort of sensation of being caught in a day over and over again, albeit in a very different situation. And I think an interesting through line with that is just how that was a very early piece of filmmaking, and now my project is kind of like inspired by like a very like much later version of filmmaking, being like the Hollywood TV industry.
Right.
So I don't know. I just that's fun. It's a fun through line for me.
Totally. Well, it's an interesting parallel, and it's kind of I think it's notable to see someone who's an early avant-garde filmmaker, and then this contemporary hyper industrial film world. It's still sort of the same scenario, and the same types of films can be explored. I think that's
Yeah.
interesting. I want to talk a little bit about the production itself. First of all, tell me about the locations, finding those, scouting those. I feel like I saw the old zoo and
Yeah.
filming outside. What is that like?
Yeah. I go back to the old zoo, but each of those locations are places that I've worked at. That opening beach was something was the same place that we filmed the LA. Well, sorry, the beach that we filmed at in Santa Monica was the same beach that I worked on Succession for the LA
Okay,
unit. So
totally.
that was like a spot that I'd worked at, and the parking garage is actually a parking garage that I'd filmed in like a week before on a an Apple TV,
Okay.
ill-fated Apple TV series called Mere Mortals, which was lovely, but during the strike, the production went on hiatus,
Oh,
and
totally.
Apple was like, "Why are we making this?" And so they went from 10 episodes to 4 episodes, and it's never come out anywhere. But it was this really insane spin-off of Mythic Quest. But each of these locations has a very specific connection to my work career and to our work careers, to the other PAs who were involved in making it. And the old zoo is funny because she passes by these cages, of different animals who are on display in Hollywood.
Mhm.
And if you've ever worked on the lot, like at Universal or Warner Brothers, there's these trams that will come by with like, tourists, and they're all taking pictures and,
Oh, yeah.
seeing what it's like where they're filming like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or whatever. And um, it's it's akin to feeling like you're on display at a zoo sometimes. I remember
Totally.
like when I was working on Westworld at the Warner Brothers lot, I was like eating oatmeal, sitting on like the side, and like this family just comes up like taking pictures of me, and I was like, you know,
That's
I'm the
oh,
old camel, before they get
right.
sent off to the glue factory.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, they're like, "Look, honey, Hollywood," and you're eating your morning oatmeal.
Exactly. And an interesting part of the zoo too was those lights that were all set up there. We actually didn't have anything to do with that. My cinematographer Nick and I wanted to have this twilight effect and then make it more night in post. But there was a Los Angeles, somebody from Los Angeles, who's a local, who has an electric bike, and he goes into different parts of LA and sets up these like really nice light designs with like his projector,
Cool.
and he streams movies or like whatever YouTube stuff. And he had just like set up there the same day that we were shooting. So it was kind of another great like little connection of picking this place
Awesome.
because we think it's special and somebody else does too.
Totally. Well, that's great. So you initially planned her just to walk through more or less a sort of dark and
Yeah,
desolate zoo, but then it does have this sort of mystical quality, and I feel like there's something about her still being dazed, walking through all this
yeah.
beauty, not really being able to pay attention to it. That kind of really aligns with the theme.
I really like. I don't know. It reminded me of some of the shots in A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, the
Totally.
Amir Poor project, with her in the park. But the lights came in, and it completely threw off the monochromatic effect. But I loved it. It looked really good.
I mean, I love that though. It's cool, those happy accidents, and that's
Yeah,
really something special to keep in mind, especially when you come from the really locked in, really pre-planned PA world to do your
definitely.
own project and see, no, we don't really have these constraints and reined in sets and whatnot, but look at this cool stuff that can happen.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, especially since this is such, I think, a personal story or personal kind of idea that you're trying to convey here. What is that process like filming something that's essentially about the own mundane cycle of your life that you're protesting against or thinking about? Is it cathartic? Does it hurt? What's it
Yeah.
like?
Um, I think it's really exciting, like in a weird way. It brings you like a little like secret sense of joy. Like I don't know, it's almost like making yourself laugh. You get to play out these things that you're thinking, when you're on set or stowing away and then writing down, and then all of a sudden you're out there and prepping it. And we went out to all the locations and shot it on iPhone or whatever. And Nick was playing with lenses and doing all that stuff, and then um, the camera tests, and then finally going out there and actually shooting. And just doing it with like 6 or 8 people.
Totally.
It did feel like our project. It wasn't something that was like intangible for everybody.
Right.
Like it was all an experience that like we felt, and I think every PA that I showed this to is like, oh my god, that's such a relatable sensation. And just seeing that come to life is just it's joyous. It's really nice.
That's great. And I feel like there's an important takeaway there that even when you're grinding away in the professional
Yeah,
PA world, having this outlet of independent film can be medicine. I mean, that's
yeah,
the two sides to it. We love Hollywood movies, but we love independent works too, and it's kind of cool to see them coexist in your life in two kind of interesting ways.
yeah.
Um, Tell me, are you working on any other shorts? I mean, do you have time?
Yeah, I'm working on another short. I'm trying to start prep on something. It's a much more dialogue heavy piece that I want to shoot in December. Um, it's based on a stage play that my partner wrote called
Cool.
um, Pancakes, and we're tentatively titling it like Beautiful and Blue. It's an interesting piece about a mother and or sorry, a father and daughter, and sort of them both healing and coming together, and realizing sort of how they need each other. But I'm anticipating some fun stuff to do with camera work and sort of placement and shots and putting them in different places despite being in like a really contained kitchen.
Totally.
So it'd be a totally different challenge from the filmmaking perspective. But that is something that's squished in between. I'm currently working as the background PA on Hacks, which is taking up a lot of my time.
Totally.
And it's a blast. I mean, we did I don't know how much I could really talk about, but we did so like really fun scenes all
Sweet.
around LA, and we went to Las Vegas, and there's challenges with that every day, and other things that you're like, well, this just fits right into like what we were shooting, and that's back
Totally.
to the point of the joy. It's like an inside joke that you have with yourself. You're like, oh my god, like I created a piece, and now I'm living the art piece that I created. It's fun.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, what an interesting world. And that film you're working on sounds great. So it sounds like the play is written by your partner, and
Yeah,
you're just working on kind of developing the concept for a short
yeah.
film for the screen.
Yeah, we kicked it around back and forth and got a screenplay
Cool.
out of it, and I'm hoping my friend Ben, who did the color, will be available to shoot it, and just sort of get our cast together and find a nice kitchen and go from there.
Totally.
I also submitted a feature screenplay to Sundance Labs. I got invited to apply to that, which was really cool.
Sweet.
A director that I actually worked with, I PA'd for on a film called Josephine. Beth Darujo, she's incredible, and I totally just butchered her last name, but I love you, Beth. And she just whatever. But who knows where that'll go and what that'll turn into. Sundance is such a shooting fish in a barrel and wondering what's going to happen.
For
But
sure.
it's exciting to just keep working on projects. That one is like a dinner party where a goddess shows up and ends up sort of picking them all off, and
Oh,
it's
interesting.
fun. It's
Doing well. That's
yeah, but it's also like an exploration into memory and conversation, and how you're at a dinner party that you don't want to be in a conversation with, and your mind wanders to something else, and what if there was an all-knowing entity that could sort of follow those
totally.
storylines, and so you create a bigger picture of like what a dinner party is and what that concept is, by exploring these different perspectives. You sort of see the beauty and inequity of humanity. It's kind of an exploration into that portrait.
I love that. That sounds great.
I would love to make it. It'd be cool.
Totally. Well, I mean, that's so cool. It sounds like you have a lot of irons in the fire, great momentum with your own work, but also your everyday living and breathing film
Yeah.
on the professional level. I think that's kind of awesome.
Thanks,
Don't lose
man.
sight of your own productions, but I mean, keep grinding away, man.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the dream, is to be able to come back to Portland. I'm working on getting into third area and being able to join the DGA down here, but then
Sweet.
ideally going through third area in Portland, and getting connected to the film scene in a way
Totally.
that like is beyond just whatever your friends that you're filming with in Portland.
Right.
It's like much younger. So
Well, I feel the scene here bubbling. I feel like there's
yeah,
rising momentum here. I feel like it kind of goes in waves or goes in cycles here in Portland.
totally.
We had one maybe 10 years ago. I feel like the time is now. So it's an exciting prospect. I love the local film scene and seeing people investing in that, because it's
Yeah,
it's not easy, but it's easy enough to say, "Well, I want to be in film. Let's go to LA." But I respect people who want to put it back to the hometown. I dig that.
100%. And the idea is to take everything down here and be like, well, how do you enact that up there? And
Absolutely.
the dream is to direct, but as PAing and assistant directing, you really get the opportunity to see what's happening at every level. And you know, just just exciting to be able to see a future where I can do this in Portland. Miss
Totally.
the rain. I miss the rain. I'll be honest
Yeah,
with you.
man. It's fall right now. It's beautiful.
I hope it rains next weekend. I'm excited to come up.
let's let's hope for rain. Well,
Yeah.
Andis, is there anything else you'd like to add about meshes of the production?
Um, I'm just really grateful that I was given the opportunity to create a project that combines so many experiences and visions of my friends, and my coworkers, and get to express a piece that hopefully brings solace to anybody who's just overworked and underloved. It's
Absolutely.
yeah, a little love hate to LA and all of the Technicolor nightmares that you sort of go through working down here.
Well put, man. Well, I think people are going to love this on November 10th at the Oregon Short Film Festival. There's going to be a lot of people who have worked PA and they're going to find it, and it's going to be relatable. It's going to be probably funny and fun to see the dramatized version of that world. And even for people who don't understand that world, it's just a beautiful, well composed film.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate it.
I can't wait to see more for you, man. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Yeah. See you soon.
Take care.